Hello, and welcome to another episode of Acceptable Madness. My name is Scott McKinney, and today I'm going to talk about games. I know that games, that might be a topic that a lot of people view as self-explanatory. I mean, what's the point of adding more to games than just playing the games? But the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because I've had a very mixed relationship with them, with some experiences being very positive and some being very negative. And I want to talk about how I've used it to add positivity to my life. Before I get into the bulk of what this episode is going to be about, I wanted to address a few things. First of all, I hope you all liked hearing Trevor's input last week. I had a lot of fun talking to him because although he's my friend and I talk to him very frequently, the conversations don't usually consist of something that's a bit more real and down to earth. I mean, they do sometimes, so which is how I knew a lot of what we were going to talk about, but there were other things that even I learned. And I hope you enjoyed the reality of that conversation. Along with that, I have other guests that will be on soon. I don't want to give any timelines. I actually even have one podcast with a guest recorded already, but I want to make sure that it's up to a standard that I'm happy with before I put it out there. And I also want to make sure that, because even though I have a few guests set up, it might not be the case with that might not be every episode from here on out. It might still be a majority of just me talking, which is fine. I still enjoy recording those episodes and hope you enjoy them. But I want to put some space in between so that you can get some different content and still enjoy it. So, other than that, I will jump into it and talk about games. And like I said in the intro, I know games might seem like a really weird topic to consider because games are inherently fun. Some can be competitive, some can be random and still competitive, but a different type that's less reliant on skill. And even the word games and the industry and the concept are all about having fun and bringing joy to someone or whoever's playing them. And that's why I wanted to talk about it, because I have had a very mixed relationship where sometimes I have played games and enjoyed every second of them, and other times I have used them as a complete and total escape from the world, and it was a very unhealthy relationship. So even talking to Trevor last week, one of the things that I mentioned, if you didn't listen to it, that's fine. I highly recommend it. I think it's one of the best podcast episodes that I've done so far. But even if you didn't listen to it, that's perfectly fine. I talked about gaming and how whenever I was in my sophomore and junior year of college, I would play Xbox or computer games or basically any type of video game obsessively, bordering addictively, because what I would do is I would go to a job that I wasn't happy with, and I wasn't really trying to make the best of the job. I was just going to it because I knew that I needed to work and it was going to be a good experience for my resume, and I knew it was going to be all these things, but the way that I looked at it, I didn't look at the I didn't try to find the positivity or the happiness or really the good side to it. I was just doing it because it all felt like an obligation. And after a long day at work that I did not enjoy, I would come home and I would turn on my Xbox and I would play for hours. Hours that I didn't really enjoy. I'd be playing with my friends and I would be socializing, which was very good for me. But I was doing it in, looking back on it, kind of a self-destructive way, because what I would do is I would go to this job I wasn't happy with, I would come home, I would play games, I would eat a dinner. Sometimes it was a good dinner, sometimes it wasn't. It was just either like something that I'd thrown together or something that really wasn't up to the quality that maybe it should have been. And I would play for 5, 6, 7 hours a night, and I would get almost no sleep. And so in playing these games, I was pretty miserable, but I didn't realize it because the idea of a game and socializing and talking to your friends, the idea of it should make you have fun, if that makes sense. Like games themselves should elicit some sort of joy. And so I was playing these games, but I was not having any fun, and I had no joy in them a lot of the time. Again, I like the socialization. I have a good relationship with all the friends that I played with. And I even like the game. We played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. If you understand the game, then you know that it's a pretty competitive game. And I would come home and I would play that game for hours on end, and I wouldn't necessarily have fun, even though I thought I was supposed to. And because of that, because of the fact that I would come home and I was already miserable, and I had this thing that was supposed to be an escape, it made me think, it made me feel like what I was doing to be happy was failing. So, like, for me, I've never looked towards alcohol. I've never experimented with any drugs. I'm a really straight shooter. I'm a pretty unadventurous person, and I like that about myself, because I can be a bit strict with what I do with my body and everything. So, but for me, I was just coming home and I was doing this thing that I was hoping would numb the pain of a terrible day and what I thought was a terrible experience in life and time, and games alone they weren't doing anything. And so when that happened, I would be more unhappy at work, and I would be unhappy coming home and playing the video game. But I played it anyway, because that was just the habit that I had fallen into, the daily ritual that I had, and no matter if I wanted to do it or not, it's just what ended up happening. And I know that sounds weird, because it kind of sounds a bit like it was an addiction, but I don't think it was an addiction. It was just the habit that I had gotten into. It was something familiar that I would come home from and do as a way to try to escape the day, even if it didn't work. And I ended up I stopped playing games as much when I just really had I was sitting at work and I knew I wasn't happy, and I knew I hadn't been happy for a long time, and I just thought about what I'd rather be doing. And that's what eventually led to the kind of stuff that I'm doing now, such as writing and this podcast and making YouTube videos, and even occasionally dabbling on the more creative side and trying to make my own card games, because I think that's a lot of fun. And but I still liked the games. I still to this day play Rainbow Six Siege with all the same friends, not as frequently, nowhere near as frequently, like maybe a few hours a week as opposed to 5 or 6 a night. And I'm happy with that, because it lets me go, and because I'm not spending all of my time doing it, it lets me go, and whenever I do sit down to play games with my friends, it allows me to enjoy it significantly more, which is good, which is very good. Now, I know that I know that games are kind of a weird topic, but and I've basically kind of vilified them so far in my own life, but that's not what I'm trying to do, because what I just told you was me like 2 or 3 years ago. Let's progress to where I'm at today. I play games semi-frequently, video games semi-frequently to frequently. I play with Alex and my friends, if they're like in the area. We'll play tabletop games pretty frequently, because that's what I prefer a lot of the time, because I like having that face-to-face social interaction as opposed to just over a headset a lot of the time. And I love basically every second of the games that I play. If I do something with my brother or sisters, sometimes they like a lot more sporty things. Other times they'll want to do more tabletop games. And if I'm playing with my friends, again, it's a mix of video games and tabletop games and everything. But whenever I sit down to play these games, I have fun with them. A lot of the games that I like are I recently rediscovered Clue, which is a good one because I really like that analytical side. Even though that's the kind of game that you think of for like the 80s, I still think it's a lot of fun. Some other games that are maybe a bit lesser known, Boss Monster is one. Any of the games that can be a little bit like raunchy if you're just looking to have fun, like Cards Against Humanity or What Do You Mean, stuff like that. Those are all card games that I've been playing recently. And even some other games such as Pokemon cards, because Alex and I like to collect them. Along with that, in terms of mobile games, I'll play Pokemon Go, and Alex and I will do that pretty frequently, and we try to like shiny hunt for those that play Pokemon or no Pokemon at all. And we just play a lot. Like this past weekend was actually my birthday, and I decided that what I wanted to do, because Alex and I had a lot of time on our hands, was just to play as many games as we could. We played Portal 2, we played Monopoly Deal, we played chess, which she didn't know how to play, so I actually taught her how to play chess. We played another puzzle game called Cube 2. We played an escape room type game called, I think, Exit, which was okay. And we just played for like the whole weekend. We play Word Cookies, which is an app on her phone, which is you just make words out of letters that you're given. And I don't mean to just list all the games that I play, but I want to say that like I play a fair amount of games. So even though the entire first half of this monologue was about me not enjoying them, to this day, just sitting back and playing games can be one of the most fun things that I do with my time. And the reason that my experience and joy has shifted so much in games is because I've been able to go into them with a different state of mind. So whenever I had the job that I wasn't happy with, I was in a position I didn't like, my boss was an asshole, and I would come home, I was always using them as an escape to hide from this unhappy existence that I was living. And I wasn't trying to search for the happiness in anything. I was really stuck in my own head, and it was just a way to keep going to the next day, because eventually I'd have a different job, and then eventually I would hate that job too, and then get another one, and then eventually I'd die. And that was the kind of negative mindset that I had, was just you bounce from one thing to the next, you're not gonna like it, and then you die. And that's what happens. And that's just life in a nutshell. And but now I just spent basically the entire weekend playing games with Alex and my brother and people that I love and people that I enjoy spending time with. And the games were this very fulfilling thing. And I was able to sit down for each one of those games with a smile on my face. And regardless if I win or lose, even though I can be a bit of a sore loser sometimes, still have fun with them. And it's so weird, because in the past I'd never, and this might sound really weird to some of you, but I used to not have any sort of fun sometimes whenever I'd play any game. It didn't just have to be Rainbow Six Siege, but I was always way too competitive, and instead of just playing the game for the sake of enjoyment, I was playing a lot more for the sake of either competition or like beating something on the hardest difficulty, or doing something the hard way, like Halo. I would always play the campaign on Legendary first, and then I wouldn't always walk away from that with the best experience, and I still beat it, and then I still enjoyed playing it on the hardest difficulty. But I know other people, if I went to sit them down and play it on Legendary, they would have no fun. Another game came out called Cuphead, and that's a video game also, and it's it was like made with an old cartoon style, and it was all done in with difficulty in mind. So you're fighting boss after boss, and it's just hard. But you can get these upgrades that'll make it a little bit easier along the way. Well, I made an effort to not buy any of the upgrades and beat the game that way. And the game took significantly longer than it would have otherwise, but I still had fun with it. But I went into it with the mindset of difficulty over, I guess, fun and just face value enjoyment. Now, people can enjoy games in a lot of different ways, but whenever I went into games like that, I did have fun. But I've discovered through just time that I have a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyment in sitting down and either playing at a slower pace where I'm not trying to like just blast through everything at the speed of light and enjoy it with someone that I actually have like a good relationship with, whether it's a friend, sibling, parent, or girlfriend. It's just, I don't know. It's different types of fun, and I find the ones where I'm sitting down and playing with other people a lot more fulfilling. And so I sat down with Alex this weekend and we played game after game. And I even went out to karaoke one night, and I am not one for karaoke. I get I get a lot of stage fright. I get very anxious, and I am not the first one. I will never suggest karaoke, and it took me a long time to even feel somewhat comfortable getting up there. Like turning down my brother's invitations week after week before I finally caved. And I just had fun because it was the same kind of thing. It was kind of like a game. And I just had a good time. And it's weird to have this different relationship than I used to, because in the past it was always just this negative way to pass time. And now it's a way to really connect with people and have fun with them doing an activity together, cooperatively or competitively. And it's just nice. And there aren't many things that I can say are just nice. Even though I can be a sore loser, especially for really random games, such as Mario Party. Like, that game annoys the shit out of me. Like, I love it, is the problem. I love Mario Party with all my heart. But I have the absolute worst luck. And so I'll go through and I will win, like, every mini game in a game. They have stars at the end. The way that you win Mario Party, for if you don't know, is you have to collect stars. To get stars, you have to get coins from winning mini games, and there's like, we'll say there's 10 rounds. So there's 10 mini games, and then at the same time you're going around like a virtual game board to buy the stars with your coins. Well, I can go through and have the most coins, the most stars, win the most mini games, and I will still somehow lose Mario Party by the end. And I used to play like Mario Party 2, which is a really old game, and I used to wear a Fitbit, and at one point my heart rate skyrocketed to like 180 while I was playing it. Like, I thought I was gonna die. It was too much, but I loved it and I had fun with it, and I was having a good experience and enjoying myself with all my friends. We might have music on in the background, we might not, we might have snacks or something. But the point is we were just having fun, and it was a good cathartic use of my time and theirs, and everybody enjoyed it. And whenever I was able to look at games from the perspective of, I'm just excited to spend time with my friends and family and the people that I love, and play a game and try to win as much as I can, even though it might not happen, it was really nice. And it was just it was an entirely different experience, and one that I wouldn't give up for the world. So sitting down and playing games isn't always the best thing, because if I do them all the time, if I spend an entire week straight playing games, then I'm going to walk away unhappy, because it's just too much of a good thing. Like you have with anything. But at the same time, if I just play for like a day, I used to play Dungeons and Dragons. That was always fun, but it was too much of a time commitment for me, was my big problem. Or if I played like Mario Kart or Super Smash Bros, anything, and I play it for like a few hours at a time, and I play it with people that I like, or even by myself sometimes, it's just fun. And all of the issues of the day can sometimes just disappear. As long as, for me, as long as the goal of going in and playing games is to just have fun and try to unwind, it makes the experience of playing games so much better. And it really makes it fun as opposed to just a time waster or time killer. Like, and sometimes they really do have good benefits. Like I like to write, so when I play something like Word Cookies on the phone, it can show me some short words that I may not have ever thought of before, and it's teaching me some stuff. Pokemon Go, today was Community Day, which they do once a month, and you can just go out and walk around for a few hours and try to catch some rare Pokemon. I mean, I was playing some puzzle games. Like, Alex and I were playing Portal 2 yesterday and the day before that. And that's a really good cooperative game. The commentary and dialogue of the game is funny. So not only that, it's not only is it fun to put the puzzles together and you're keeping your mind fresh, but you're just sitting there and kind of having a really relaxing, engaging time and fun. It's just, to me, it's so weird that the conversation about and the experience and the relationship that I have about games and with games can be so different in such a short amount of time, because they're made to give people joy, they're made for entertainment value, they're made so that people can actually have fun and escape from the real world. But for me, if I was using them exclusively as an escape from the real world as opposed to just something for fun, it didn't work. But it's such a confusing relationship, because sometimes with my mental health and depression and anxiety, especially if I'm having a particularly hard day or hard time, you want that escape. And sometimes it's easy to look for it in places that might not otherwise be great. Whether that be games, or alcohol, or other things in that nature. It's just something that it feels like it shouldn't need much care and concern, because playing games is just playing games. But it's still something that if you don't look at it and take time to understand what it's really doing for you, it could have a negative impact. So I recommend, especially if you're not having fun with games or anything else, then a lot of the time the outlook can be the thing that's negatively impacting that. But other times it's just the goal of what you're doing needs to be reevaluated sometimes. Like, for me, the goal of playing those games in the past was just to have an escape, and that's not a good use of anything. So now it's just to have fun and spend time with people, and since that's been the goal, that's exactly what happened. But whenever it's an escape, if I'm using games as an escape, or if I'm using anything as an escape, there's always been that little comment, or that little like voice in the back of my head saying, what are you escaping from? And so the whole time that I'd be playing these games and trying to escape from something, the thing that I'm trying to escape from is still on my mind in some way because of why I'm playing the games at that given moment. If I'm using it as an escape, it wasn't letting me escape. And it's weird. Again, it's a weird dynamic like that. Along with that, what I would say is, if you're really having a hard time enjoying games or enjoying that movie that you're going to see, however you do, or that TV show that you're watching, or that thing that you used to really like, but now it's just not working like it used to, or it's not doing what it used to. Sometimes the thing to just reevaluate is what's going on in your life. For me, I was working that job because I knew I needed to have a job, and I knew I needed an income, both of which I still need. And everybody needs, because livelihood's a thing. But I was able to start enjoying them a lot more once I was able to get myself out of that situation that I wasn't happy with. Since I left that job, I've enjoyed games a lot more. Since then, I got rehired by another job that I absolutely hated. And then I got laid off by that job. And although there's been a struggle with me figuring out where to go from here and finding my next job and stuff like that, it might seem weird, but I'm still much happier now, even though there's some stress added, than I was at the job that I didn't like. And that's just because I'm not doing something every day that is just driving me nuts and just making me angry or unhappy. Ultimately, I'd like to be a published author. I'd like to have my hobbies be the things that give me financial stability and security. But right now, that's not what I can have. I mean, it's a slow process, and I'm perfectly content with that. I mean, I'm happy with it, like, because it's such a humbling process, and also fun because it's still exciting to do all my hobbies and experience all the little problems and stuff that come along the way, and learning that literally everything takes practice. Like, some things that you think are going to be really easy are some of the hardest things that you'll ever encounter. And it's cool to go through all that stuff. But in the meantime, I still need to find a place for money and find a place to work and do all that. And I'd rather work. And I know that this is a lesson that a lot of people, some never understand, and some have a really hard time understanding. But I have had way more fun doing a job for less money that makes me happier than doing a job that gets me more money and is miserable. Now, what I will say is I'm pretty young, so I haven't really had any jobs that give me a significant amount of money, which is fine. I mean, I'm happy with where I'm at. But even still, even a few dollars difference in terms of like your hourly salary, hourly wage, or yearly salary, it doesn't. Man, day-to-day happiness matters so much more than just buying time or just doing what you feel you have to. Like, if I could tell my like 2-year younger self, if I could just show him some of the lessons that I've learned just because of what I've gone through personally, there'd be a world of difference. And I know that that's something that's really hard to understand because it's weird because there are so many lessons that you just can't impart, like wisdom that you can't give to other people, because the only thing that's going to work is eventually learning on your own. It's like if, I know that this is kind of unrelated, but I had a turkey fly into my windshield at one point. I could tell you that you might have a turkey fly into your windshield, and then whenever that happens, you need to call your insurance company and see what happens and tell everybody that you're okay for all the people that are worried about you, and then find a place to change your windshield out and see if there are any other issues with your car. And I can tell you all that stuff, but the second you're thrown into it and a fucking bird flies through your windshield and shatters it, you will never know how that experience works. And so all you can really do is keep trying to go through life and look at everything that happens as, I know it's cliche, but look at it as an experience and learn from everything that you can, because the more you learn, the less uncertainty, and then the easier time you'll have in the future. Maybe not easier, but a more well-rounded and understanding future, if that makes sense. Like, instead of just getting thrown into every situation completely randomly, you'll know more. And man, this took a turn from games, but I still feel like everything I said has some significance. It's just all about having fun. And sometimes that can be really hard whenever the world feels like this just foreboding asshole that just kicks you all the time and just makes you feel bad, and the world around you and the people are always trying to like sabotage and destroy you, and you always feel like a burden to the people around you. And it can be really hard to find the good and not just try to escape it. But God, if you can, it's like seeing an entirely different world through entirely new eyes. And I really hope that everybody can have that privilege, because it really is. I've had those moments where I'm contemplating suicide, and I don't know what weird, mysterious figure prevents me from doing it. I don't know what it is, but it has, and I'm happy that it's prevented me from that. And now I've just gotten to a place where the world seems a lot less scary, even whenever it's really fucking scary. Or when a fucking bird jumps through your windshield. And I hope that as many people that can feel that do. Because it just makes all the other problems start to fade away a little bit. It makes those fake arguments that you have in the shower in your head fade away. Because a lot of people that I actually like in the past have had grudges against or disliked for really no reason. Sometimes it's nice just to think and hope that everything's going well for them, even if we don't necessarily see eye to eye. Because the feeling of existing when you feel happy and when you're looking for the positivity in life is so worth it. So that's what I have to say about games, I guess. I hope you guys all have something that you enjoy playing, something that brings you happiness, and something that you're doing for the purpose of having fun and not just the purpose of escaping. And if you do have something that's just for the purpose of escaping, I hope you figure out a long-term solution for it as opposed to just running from it. I hope you find something that can make you happy. So, I'll talk to you again next week. Thanks for listening. And, I don't know, go play a game. God, I'm really bad at ending these things. This is fucking terrible. Bye.